To present our next award, we have another returning honoree. She was honored in 2012 for work to strengthen the connection between farmers and consumers as the Deputy Secretary of Agriculture at the USDA. She currently serves as the Executive Director of the Sustainability Institute at George Washington University. So please welcome Dr. Kathleen Merrigan.
Hello, everybody. Hey, this is a pretty cool club to be a part of. So, New Yorkers, you wear black, you're so sophisticated, I'm so intimidated. Harkens back to a story when I was 30 years old. I came to New York City to go to my college roommate's birthday party, surprise birthday party. It was in the middle of the 1990 Farm Bill. Okay, do the math, I'm 54. And I was working on the Organic Foods Production Act, among other things, the SARE program, a lot of sustainable ag, organic ag stuff in the Farm Bill, and I was Farm Bill 24/7. And people in the party were all very sophisticated. They were wearing black. This one girl was in the corner. She was crying because Matthew Broderick had broken up with her to date Sarah Jessica Parker. I had no idea who these people were. And I kept trying to talk to them about food policy, agriculture, and I was alone with my gin and tonic. At some point in the evening, I fell asleep in the corner, and the birthday girl had to go home early to bring her best friend to bed. Fast forward some years, I go to a dinner party now. I say, I work in agriculture policy, and people say, oh, that's so wicked cool. That's so great. And, you know, I can talk from everything to A to Z, and all of a sudden I'm the center of attention. So why am I here tonight? Because I am here to honor my friend Michael Pollan for finally making me a popular gal. As all of you know, Michael has changed the food conversation in this country. It is now mainstream. He has woken up the average American about food issues in a way that, in my wildest dreams, I couldn't have imagined. He has really brought people to question, where does that food come from? Who produced that food? How is it produced? It's a totally new scene. It's a new dialogue. And when I was Deputy Secretary of Agriculture, it was Michael Pollan who paved the way for me to do great things. Sam Cass is here, who heads up Let's Move. It's a person like Michael Pollan. It is Michael Pollan who paved the way for us to do great things in the policy world. So it's a real honor to be speaking and giving him this award tonight. He has really changed the conversation. He's provided a wake-up call. I like to say, ag is back. Ag is cool. Ag is just the kind of thing that is center stage in any kind of conversation you have today. Now I have to put on the spectacles here. I want to just pull, how do you pull one quote from anything Michael Pollan has written? All those great New York Times Magazine cover stories, the unbelievable books. He sold 1 million. Can you imagine that? But I picked one with the help of my good friend Deb Eschmeyer. His recent writing. Cooking of whatever kind, everyday or extreme, situates us in the world in a very special place, facing the natural world on one side and the social world on the other. The cook. The James Beard Foundation, we gotta make the connection. The cook stands squarely between nature and culture, conducting a process of translation and negotiation. So to Michael Pollan, who has transformed our thinking, has transformed the dialogue around food on this country through his animated, searing voice, we honor you. Congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Michael Pollan, not only a great leader, I just want to say one last thing. He's not only a great leader and a great writer, but he's actually a lovely man. This is a man that you want to share a meal with.
Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Kathleen. Well, to have this award presented by Kathleen Merrigan, who truly is a leader and a hero of mine, makes it particularly significant. So thank you for that. You know, leader is a very uncomfortable role for a journalist, and I'm not really qualified to be such a person. And let me explain why by telling you a little bit about the kind of work I do. And I think I speak for Mark in saying this too. The role of leader feels a little fraudulent to a journalist, since we know much better than our readers do that most of what we say and write we just learned a few days before from someone who really knows their shit. And someone far more experienced and knowledgeable than we can ever hope to be. So I want to use my few minutes up here to thank the men and women, the real leaders who have taught me what I get so much credit for knowing. And these people have shaped my work since, going back to the omnivore's dilemma. First come the farmers, of course, who helped me to understand agriculture, the links between soil, plant, animals, and humans, and the human choices that shape it. George Naylor, who is Ben Burkett's predecessor at the National Family Farms Coalition, and Fred Kirshenman, who I don't think he's here tonight, two farmers whose fields look very different, but who share a really sure grasp of the system and how it works. And they taught me what I know about the industrialization of agriculture and the role of corn, especially in our civilization. Joel Salatin at Polyface Farm, who taught me all about the agricultural possible. Very, very important influence on me. And of course, Wendell Berry, from whom I probably learned more about how to think about the relationships of humans and the other species on our farms than anyone else, and from whom I also learned how to construct very sturdy sentences about those relationships. On the other end of the food chain, when we're talking about the body and health and nutrition and the food system of the industry, I've been very well schooled, especially by Marion Nestle, and another woman who's not here tonight, Joan Gussow, who were both, and I want to add a third to that in that category, who is here, Ricardo Salvador. All three of them took calls from a completely unknown journalist way back when and answered, because I am on the descending part of that arc that Ricardo so generously described a very long time ago, took my calls and helped explain this very strange system that we call the food system. Lastly, I want to thank someone whose role in shaping my work has been far less visible, but no less decisive. Back in 2001 or so, when I was still very new to this beat, indeed, before the food politics beat really existed, my editor at the New York Times, who is here, Jerry Marzorati, took me out to lunch and proposed that I spend a year or two focusing on food and agriculture. He had this sixth sense, as good editors do, that Americans had a growing appetite for learning about where their food came from. Jerry gave me some of my best ideas, a form of leadership that seldom gets recognized, the leadership of the editor. Jerry's first suggestion was that I do a piece on meat. That was it. It was a one-word assignment. And he could be gnomic that way. And that led to the article Power Steer, which became a chapter in Omnivore's Dilemma. And then a few years later, he suggested I look into what do we know and what don't we know about the links between our diets and our health. And that led to an article called Unhappy Meals and a book called In Defense of Food and another book called Food Rules. And he launched me more recently on a story about TV cooking shows that evolved into my most recent book, cooked. So it's not at all clear that any of these books would have been written if not for Jerry's exquisitely timed suggestions. So to Jerry, who's right there, I want to offer a special thanks. And lastly, I want to thank the James Beard Foundation for its own leadership on these issues. In the last few years, the foundation has kind of miraculously morphed from a kind of foodie organization with some troublesome past to a to really find its voice, And this owes a lot to Susan's leadership, I know, and the leadership of the board, and has come to figure largely and impressively in the national conversation about that's now underway about how we're going to reform our food system to make it more just and more sustainable. That makes your recognition of me here tonight especially meaningful. So I want to thank the James Beard Foundation and all of you. Thanks a lot.